Okay, this is chapter 8, grids and tops. Over here we have a lot. I'm not gonna waste time. I'm just gonna, what was this? Yeah, I'm not gonna waste time. I'm just gonna start solving. Question 12, given cosine x, what is the value of sine x? Okay, you know sine x. I'm gonna just jump straight to the formula using the Pythagorean identity. Cosine squared plus sine squared is equal to 1. If you rearrange it, you're gonna get sine x is gonna be equal to square root 1 minus cosine squared x. Okay, since we're saying that cosine is negative, and command they gave you, we're going in between 180 and 275. We're in quadrant 3, and in quadrant 3 you need to know, am I going to take the negative square root or the positive square root? Since we're in quadrant 3, it's obviously the negative square root. Okay, فيلا negative root 1 minus cosine squared, so negative root 1 minus cosine squared, so negative 12 over 13 squared. Oh, mistake. Okay, you're gonna get minus 5 over 13. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay. Question 13. If cosine x is equal to minus root 3 sine x, yeah, if cosine x is equal to negative root 3 sine x in between 0 and 180, what is, then x is equal to k degrees, huh? Ah, yeah, this was in the quiz. Okay, it's very easy. You can do this whatever way you want. The way I do it is, the easiest way for me is I divide by cosine on both sides. This cancels. You're gonna get negative root 3 tan x is equal to 1. Take it to the other side. You're gonna get tan x is equal to 1 over negative 1 over root 3. Okay, هلا you just do shift tan. Okay, shift tan minus 1 over root 3 in degrees. In between, what's our domain? 0 and 180, right? So you're gonna get negative 30. So x is equal to negative 30 degrees. But what are we doing with tan? Tan, you always consider 180 plus that angle, right? So 180 plus negative 30 equals 150 degrees. Now, does this fit in my domain? Yes, it does. Let's double check. Yeah, what's this? Open here. 150 degrees. Now, how many questions do I have here? 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. Question. This is so crowded. Mathematics, so on. Okay. Solve the equation 5 minus 2 cosine squared x is equal to 4. Very, very easy again. 5 to the other side, you can get negative 2 cosine squared x is equal to negative 1. Divide by negative 2 on both sides, you can get cosine squared x is equal to half. Obviously, you can take square root of both sides. Okay, so you're going to get cosine x is equal to plus minus root half, right? Since you don't know, we're solving in between 0 and 360. So what does this mean? You have to consider both cases. You need to consider the positive root, and you need to consider the negative root. Negative root 1 over 2. Type. When you consider this, you're going to get the first solution. We should get 4 solutions. Shift cosine root 1 over 2, 45. Okay, so 45 degrees. For cosine, remember, you always take the negative. Okay, but does the negative count? No. Okay, but you can still take it and then do plus 360k. That's completely fine. Okay, other people, what do? They say, okay, negative won't work. What else do we try with cosine? We always do 360 minus, right, for cosine. And will that work? Yes, of course it will work. You're going to get 315 degrees. Okay, so these two solutions are accepted because they fit within the domain. How about هون بالنيجاتيف? It should be the same actually. Oh no, it shouldn't be the same. Anyway, cosine inverse minus half, minus root half, 135 degrees. So you get x is 135 degrees. Again, if you make it negative, it won't work. So what's the other solution always? 360 minus, right? Which is going to be 225 degrees. So let's check our solutions. 4 solutions. 45, 135, 225, and 315. 45, 135, 225, 315. Very easy. هلا question 15. Given that x equals 3 is the solution of this, solve the equation this. Okay, what do we have to do? We have to reduce it to a quadratic, right? So let's reduce to a quadratic. I'm going to use synthetic division. Okay, 1 minus 6, 5, 12. Yeah, take the 1 down. 1 times 3, 3. Minus 6 plus 3 is negative 3. 3 times 3, minus 9. 5 minus 9, minus 4. Minus 4 times 3, minus 12. Remainder 0. If you don't get remainder 0, I always tell you, if you don't get remainder 0, you got it wrong. 100%. Okay, because they said it's a solution. Type. Unless the question is wrong. So it's reduced to a quadratic, so it should look like this, right? And we want to equate it to 0. We're trying to solve it equal to 0. Let's not change it back to tan and make it tan squared, because anyways I'm going to change it back into tan after I get the solutions. So when you solve this, you can actually factor this. You're going to get x minus 4, x plus 1 is equal to 0, so you're going to get x is equal to 4, x is equal to negative 1. But what are we substituting x with? Tan x. So we're just going to put that tan here now. Okay? Type. Let's solve. Shift tan 4. 76 degrees. If I get 76 degrees. Remember, you do 180 plus. For tan, you do 180 plus. Does that fit in the domain? No, no, no. So we continue. Shift tan minus 1 هلا. Minus 45. Does that fit in the domain? No, 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 no. But what do we do? Plus 180 always for the second solution. 135. Does that fit in the domain? Yes, that fits. Okay. We only have two solutions. If you're doing it on computer, you're going to realize that there's a third box. You're going to tell me, Tawarid, how do I get the third box? Now you can't forget, x equals 3 is a solution. So you also have to consider tan x is equal to 3. Let's do shift tan 3. You get 72 degrees approximately. Okay, so 72, 76, 135. Let's see what they get. Yeah. Okay, this one, 71.6. I don't think you can round it. Let's just keep it as 71.6, not 72. Okay. What else do we have now? I think we're done the grids. It should be tops. Oh no, بعد فيه. Whoa, بعد فيه. Don't get excited, everybody. Don't get excited. Question 20. Okay. Over here. What is R? Okay, this is very easy. What is R? R always, whenever you have a cosine x plus b sine x, you can rewrite it as R cosine theta minus alpha. Whoa, that's shitty handwriting. R cosine theta minus alpha. Okay, where R is the magnitude, right? Tan alpha, or alpha is equal to tan inverse, but the book writes it like this: tan alpha is equal to b over a. Okay, anyways, what's R? It's just going to be the magnitude of a squared plus b squared, so root 4 squared plus, in brackets, 2 root 21 square 10. Is that hard? Not at all. يلا اللي بعده. Question 40. شو 43? Question 43, page 54. Okay. Oh, okay. So, yeah, I don't like this question. Okay. Find the value of x. You need to use similar triangles, okay? The way I'm gonna do it is, the way I explained before is I use similar triangle. I name the triangles first, okay? I like calling it ABC, okay? And then these smaller parts here, we'd call them مثلا D, E. طيب, we're gonna consider this big triangle and this triangle here, okay? طيب, what do we know? This is a right angle. When you do similarity of triangles, you do angle corresponding to angle. Okay, so let's take a look. If I were to say angle a triangle ABC, what would it be similar to? I'm not considering ADE. Do I just write straight away ADE? Well, yes, that's correct, but you need to check it. Angle A, it's over here. What's it equal to in the red triangle? It's the same. It's common in both triangles, so that means you can start as A. B, no, actually it's not congruent to ADE. I was wrong. B it's this, it's the same as this here, right? So what's this here? It's E. You could say E. And then C is the right angle. So what's the right angle in this triangle, the red one? D. Okay. So when you do this step, I feel like it's very important to figure out which sides correspond to what. Okay, so هلا can I find x? Yes, I can. You can say مثلا the hypotenuse, or let's say what sides do we have? We have AD, we have AE, we have AB, we have AC. Okay, we can say this. We can say AB over AC is equal to AE over AD. Right? AB over AC is equal to AE over AD. This is grade 8 material, by the way, huh? AB, so which is 5 plus 3, 8, over AC, which is 4 plus x, is equal to AE, which is 4, over AD, which is 3. So this should actually, when you saw, you can cross multiply. I found an easier way, but I'm not going to say anything because it might complicate you. 8 times 3, 24. Take 16 to the other side. You're going to get 4x is equal to 8, so x is equal to 2. Very easy. Okay. Question ما should be correct يعني مش شو هالسؤال الصعب. 2. Okay. So you just do side proportionality. The only hard part in my opinion is figuring out which side corresponds to which. Okay. Question هلا which one? We finished 43, 27. Okay. Given w of x is integral 64 cosine 8x, what's the value of this? Okay, يعني basically you have to integrate it and then do this, right? Type, okay, what's integral 64 cosine 8x? Always when you have a constant, take it out. You take the constant out. What's integral of cosine ax? Times, you always do 1 over a, right? So 1 over 8 times integral of cosine, there is sine 8x plus c. هيدا cancels, you get 8 sine 8x plus c. Okay, and they want to do it in this bounds. Okay, you can just put this in your calculator. Let's do this. 8 sine and radians, huh? 8 sine pi over 6. No, 8x, right? So 8 times pi over 16 minus, you can say it's gonna be 0. Okay, when you substitute 0. Okay, so you're gonna get 8. Is that correct? Yes, 8. Okay, so it equals 8. This equals 8. You have to obviously write down 8 sine 8 times pi over 16 minus 8 sine 0, which is just 0. Okay, and you get 8. Anyways, وين نحن هلا 31 over here. Okay, the function f of x, okay, this looks like it would come in the written والله. The function f of x is defined by 6 minus 8 sine x in between minus pi over 2 and pi. That's an interesting domain. State the range of f. When we say range, I need to find the minimum, find the maximum. Let's take a look. 6 minus 8 sine x. Ignore this 6 over here. Okay, 8 sine x, what does that mean? Max is 8, min is negative 8. بس لما زدت لها هيدي 6, what happens? You have to add 6, right? So بتصير هون 14 as the max, and minus 8 plus 6, it will become minus 2 as the minimum. That means the range, oh, my PC all lagged. The range is in between minus 2 and 14. Let's take a look, is that correct? Minus 2, 14. Okay, sketch the graph of f of x. I'm gonna take this to open board, new page, yeah. Sketch the graph of f of x. I'll do it down here. We're considering minus pi over 2 pi. So nice chill graph. It's not too hard. 3 4 minus pi over 2. 183 4 pi over 2 تاخد another 4 pi. طيب let's put this in our calculator. I'm not bothered to do all this. 6 minus 8 sine x. Okay, table mode. What was this math? What was this? Radians, yeah. Table mode. 6 minus 8 sine x, close brackets, in between minus from minus pi over 2, okay, till pi, and let's take our step as pi over 2. Okay, at minus pi over 2 it's 14. Okay, let's take our scale as 2 each one, so 2 4 6 8 7 2 4 6 8 10 12 14. So we're gonna take 14, okay, and negative 2 over here. So minus pi over 2, 14. 0 6 over here. I'm telling you, I'm taking 2 for each square, huh? Pi over 2, negative 2. Okay. Pi 6. Okay. That makes sense, kind of looks like this. Yeah. Okay, and it should continue up and continue whatever. But our graph should look like this. Let's take a look. Yes. Okay. The function g is defined by g of x is equal to 6 minus 8 sine x for minus pi over 2 until p, where p is a constant. State the largest value of p for which g has an inverse. Sine inverse. What's its range? As its domain. What's its domain? The domain of sine inverse, it's what x has to be in between what? It has to belong to minus pi over 2, pi over 2, right? Because the domain is minus pi over 2, pi over 2. So p has to be pi over 2, right? Pi over 2 is the largest value. For this value of p, find an expression of g inverse x. So this is actually interesting, and I had to read the solution to remind me. You know, I knew how to do it, but I wasn't sure. Does this really work with trigonometry? But apparently it does. So our original one, 6 minus 8 sine x, yeah? You want to find an inverse. Okay, how do you find an inverse in math? Remember, this first step to finding an inverse, and this was in grade maybe 9, you interchange x and y, right? So change x and y. So you're going to get 6 minus 8 sine y is equal to x, right? So you're going to get minus 8 sine y is equal to x minus 6. Divide by minus 8. You're going to get sine y is equal to 6 minus x over 8. Someone's going to tell me what? meant to cancel the negative, you can kind of just bring this to the other side. Okay? It's math. Okay? So y is equal to sine inverse 6 minus x over 8. So we found an expression for g inverse of x. Simple as. Okay? Here, by the way, to elaborate on what happened, this negative x minus 6 over negative 8 is the same as doing this, right? Okay, and when you plug this in, you get negative x plus 6 over 8. Isn't this just the same as 6 minus x over 8? Yes. So I kind of like, خلاص, I got used to that. You need to be quick with numbers. Anytime I see this over negative 8, I just plug in the negative up, and to plug in a negative all the time when you have something minus something, you could just swap them with each other. Okay? So why did I take sine inverse? Just to cancel the sign on both sides, okay? Okay, question, we still didn't even start tops, huh? 3144, right? 44. Okay. This isn't the questions. over here. Wait, no. Okay, given f of x is 2x minus 3 and g of x is x squared minus 1, find the value of f of g of minus 2. Wow. Wow. What a tough question. عن really. f of g of minus 2. Type, what is g of minus 2? g of minus 2 is negative 2 squared minus 1, which is just 3. Okay, so that means we want to find f of 3. Okay, substitute that 3 into f of x. 2 times 3 minus 3, and you get 3. Yani, wow, really, this is amazing use of my time. I'm explaining to 11S how to do composite functions. Anyways, question 30. Let's start with our tops. Okay, this is very easy, part A. Really not hard at all. Sine theta plus 3 cosine theta is equal to 3 sine theta minus cosine theta. We want to change it into tan theta. We want to put cosine on one side and sine over on one side. Why? Because tan is just sine over cosine. Okay, all the time when I see sine, cosine, I need to get tan. I need to rearrange everything in a way such that I end up, I have too many tabs open, way too many tabs open. I don't know why, al-fadi wallah. Yeah, I need to rearrange it in a way such that I have sine on one side, cosine on one side, so that I can divide. Okay, expand this, you're gonna get sine theta plus 3 cosine theta is equal to 3 sine theta minus 3 cosine theta. Take this to the other side, take this to this side, you can get minus 2 sine theta is equal to minus 6 cosine theta. Wow, divide by minus 2 on both sides, you're gonna get sine theta is equal to 3 cosine theta. Divide by cosine theta now on both sides. Look at that, this cancels and this becomes, wow, tan theta is equal to 3. Very easy. Okay, hence solve the equation for this. Okay, round the answer to the nearest degree. So basically we need to solve this. Tan theta equals 0. What do? You take your calculator, shift tan 3 in degrees, huh? In degrees. Type 71.6 degrees. To the nearest degree, theta is equal to 72 degrees. What can we do with tan? We can add 180, right? 180 plus 72, which is gonna be 252 degrees. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So you get two solutions. These are the two solutions, right? وين 30 شيء أنا 31 يمكن 30 يمكن 30 أنا yeah 72 and 252. Very easy. Okay, I'm supposed to skip 31. Maybe because it was a grid. Yeah, it was a grid. Okay, show that the equation sine squared theta plus 5 sine theta cosine theta. Oh my god, what the fuck is this one? Okay, this is very easy. This is 100%. Okay, if you want to write this in tan theta, always remember, when they ask you questions like this, remember what is tan theta? It's sine theta over cosine theta. Okay, so and I need to kind of like have it over cosine, right? Quadratic equation in tan theta, so I want tan squared theta. So to get tan squared, I need sine squared over cosine squared. Do I have sine here? I have cosine here. Can't I just divide? Yeah. So let's divide both sides by cosine squared theta. Okay. What do you get? هيدي sine squared over cosine squared بتصير tan squared. Right? Remember you divide each one, huh? Cosine theta over cosine squared theta. It cancels this cosine with even square, huh? Okay, so plus 5 sine theta هلا over cosine theta. Wait, let me يا أخي ازاي I'm so بدي أركز شوي. It may be 1:15, but I need to look in. Okay, look here. Sine squared theta plus 5 sine theta cosine theta is equal to 6 cosine squared theta. اتفقنا. You want a quadratic tan, so you want tan squared theta. You need to know that tan theta is sine theta over cosine theta. So إذا بدك square يعني كل شيء لازم يكون square. Okay? طيب. And I have sine squared here, I have cosine here squared here. Can't I just divide on both sides? Yes. If I divide on both sides, I'm going to do this. Okay? Don't forget here, you also have to divide. Okay? طيب. Sine squared theta over cosine squared theta بتصير tan squared theta. Plus cosine over cosine. This cosine over the square cancels. okay. هذا you're left with sine over cosine, which is just what? Tan. Okay, cosine squared of cosine squared cancels, so you equals 6. Take this here now. You're gonna get tan squared theta plus 5 tan theta minus 6 is equal to 0. So this is a quadratic equation. Now أكيد solve it, right? Whatever. يلا. Let's take it down here. Okay, اتفقنا we got tan squared theta minus minus ولا plus 5 tan theta plus 5 tan theta minus 6 is equal to 0. If you factor this, أكيد التاني solve, right? You're gonna get this tan theta, which number multiply to get 6 but subtract to get 5. أكيد 1 and 6, huh? So 6 tan theta and 1. Okay, plus goes to the bigger number, minus goes here. طيب. That means you have two solutions. Tan theta is equal to negative 6. Tan theta is equal to 1. Let's take a look. Shift tan negative 6. Negative 80. But remember, that's not in the domain. But what do we do with tan plus 180? You get 99.4. They said round to the nearest tenth of a degree, so it becomes 99.5. Okay, so theta is 99.5 degrees. Tan theta equals 1, you should get 45, صح? I think it should be 45. Yeah, 45. If you do plus 180, it's going to be outside of the domain. So it's going to be theta equals 45 degrees. For 45 and 99.5. Did they not say between 0 and 180? Yeah. They said in between 0 and 180. If they said in between 0 and 360, then just add 180 to these two as well, and you'll get your other two solutions. But they said in between 0 and 180. I don't know why here they changed it to 360 in the solution. Okay. Question 33. A function f is defined by f of x is 4 minus 2 sine x. Find the range of f. Range يعني max or min. Let's take a look. Always ignore the transformation. 2 sine x. The max is what? 2. The min is what? Minus 2. So what you're doing, you're coming here, you're adding 4. So when you add 4 now, it becomes 6. When you add 4 here, it becomes 2. So my range is between 2 and 6. So the range belongs to 2, 6. Very easy. Right? Why not? Here. Sketch the graph of y equals f of x. Again, we're going to take our hand into open board. Okay. I think my open board and I might crash soon, but it's okay. Sketch the graph of y is equal to f of x. 4 minus 2 sine x, right? We're sketching it in between 0 and 360 degrees. Let's ignore the negative side. Over here, we're going to take 4 squares for 90 degrees as usual. 2 for 180 degrees. 2 for 270 degrees. 2 for 360 degrees. طيب اتفقنا max is 6, so you can take 2 for 6, and the min is 2. Okay, so you need to, it's gonna look like this. Okay, you can take your calculator and input the values, put from 0 to 360 in degrees and the step as 90. You're gonna get this. Okay, هيك. No, this is here at 3. Okay, and here. Hold up. No, wait. Starts here, goes up here, أيوة, then goes back here, and then goes here, and then goes here. هيك. Well, was that wrong? Wait, hold up. Yeah, hold up. خبصت. Ignore my graph, it's over here. Max هون. المينيموم دايما على 270. هاي بتكون هون. وهي دي بترجع بتكون yeah it looks like this here. If you don't believe me, you can put the values into your calculator. 0, 360, 4 minus 2 sine x, and the step as 90 degrees. Okay, let's take a look at the solution. Yes, like this. Okay. Question بعد فيه g of x is the same thing where it's in between 0 and 8 degrees. Okay, state the largest value of a for which g has an inverse. We want the inverse for sine for sine. Remember, sine inverse x. The domain must be in between minus pi over 2 and pi over 2. So a in degrees is going to pi over 2 in radians, but in degrees it should be 90 degrees, right? Because pi over 2 is just 90 degrees. When a has this value, obtain an expression in terms. By the way, if you don't understand why, please go watch my 8.3 video, okay? I explained everything there at the start. Take the first 10-15 minutes. When a has this value, obtain an expression in terms of x for g inverse x. Okay, 4 minus 2 sine x is equal to y. How do you find the inverse? You interchange x and y. Type, so it's going to become 4 minus 2 sine y is equal to x. خد ال 4 لهونيك. You're going to get minus 2 sine y is equal to x minus 4. Okay, divide by minus 2, you're going to get sine y is equal to 4 minus x over 2. Now, take the inverse on both sides, so you're going to get y is equal to sine inverse 4 minus x over 2. I think they keep it like this, they don't simplify it further, right? Yeah, okay. Makes sense. Question, and I'm going till 42 صح؟ يا خلاص 1 page حلوة. 34. The function f of x is 2 sine squared s x what? 2 sine squared x minus 4 cosine squared x between 0 and pi. Express f of x in the form a plus b cosine squared x, stating the values for a and b. Okay, I guess you can change sine squared with 1 minus cosine squared, right? Why am I doing this? Because I want to make it only cosine squared x. And if you remember, how can you link sine squared to cosine squared? Remember, the Pythagorean identity sine squared plus cosine squared is equal to 1. So you can just take that actually, cosine squared is equal to, sine squared is equal to 1 minus cosine squared. فهيدي الساين بتشيلها بتحط 1 minus cosine squared. فlet's fix it. Let's substitute it. You're going to get 2 1 minus cosine squared x minus 4 cosine squared x. Simplify it, you can get 2 minus 2 cosine squared x minus 4 cosine squared x. Minus 2 minus 4, you're going to get 2 minus 6 cosine squared x. So what's a and b? A is going to be 2, b is going to be negative 6. Right? Very easy. State the greatest and least values of f of x. What's the minimum? What's the maximum? Okay. This is pretty straightforward. State the greatest and least values of f of x. You know, yani, we always ignore this. We say that the max will be 6 and min is negative 6, but since you're adding 2, it's going to be 8 and negative 4. But we got a problem. What's the problem? Our domain, okay, it's in between 0 and pi. So pay attention to it, okay? Please pay attention to it, okay? When taking a look at your greatest and least values, check that they fit in the domain, okay? Why is this a problem? Because look, انت when you graph cosine هيك بكون شكلها صح؟ okay? انت you're only considering هلا between 0 and pi. Sorry, the graph doesn't look like this. It looks like this actually. It's cosine, but it just flipped. Why? Because the coefficient is negative. It looks like this. Okay. What's the problem? You start at 0. Okay. Sorry, huh? I just found out, and I'm saying, something's wrong, yeah? We weren't taught this, but cosine squared x, okay? This is how the graph of cosine squared x looks. It's basically cosine, but it just doesn't go to negative. Why? Because it's squared. It stays positive. When you put the minus 6, you flip it upside down, okay? But again, it only stays in positive or negative unless you add a vertical transformation. Okay, so cosine squared stays positive. Okay, negative cosine squared, remember, because that squared only restricts it to a certain sign, either positive or negative. if the coefficient is positive then أكيد it's positive. so when you make it negative هلا بتصير تحت. okay, بس نحن we're doing 2 minus. okay, so we now did the vertical shift of 2 units upward. So take it as a rule. Okay, for cosine squared, okay, if this was cosine عادي we follow our same rule, you take minimum max. For cosine squared, okay, it might not come, but just know it in case it does. For cosine squared, the maximum value is, I don't know, for a cosine squared x, the maximum value is a, the minimum is 0, always. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, always. Actually, no, it looks the other way around, so how did it look? It starts up and goes down. A. So it looks like this. Not starts at the bottom. For cosine squared, it looks like this. Okay, so it only stays positive. Why? Because it makes sense, because it's squared. Okay, if I think of cosine squared, it's just cosine but only positive, skipping the negative values. طيب هلا when you make it 6 cosine squared x, think about it like this. The maximum value is 6, the minimum is 0. But when you make it negative, شو بيصير؟ negative 6 cosine squared x شو بيصير؟ it's upside down. The max is actually now 0 the min is negative 6. Okay, طيب we did a vertical shift of 2. So what you have to do? Plus 2. So it's gonna become, the maximum is 2. When I do plus 2 here, it's gonna become negative 4. Okay, in the solution they don't explain, they just solve, they just tell you هيك. Okay, you have to think about it شوي. Okay, nobody explained to us that cosine squared has a graph like this. I'm here to explain to you cosine squared is always positive. Unless the coefficient is negative, then it's upside down and it's only negative. So the maximum value will then be 0. The minimum value will be whatever coefficient it has. But in this case, the maximum value isn't 0. Why? Because we did a vertical shift of plus 2. So we just pushed the whole graph up by 2 units. Solve the equation f of x plus 1 equals 0. What's our equation? 2 minus 6 cosine squared x. So 2 minus 6 cosine squared x plus 1 is equal to 0. 2 plus 1, 3. So you're going to get minus 6 cosine squared x plus 3 equals 0. Take 3 other side. You're going to get cosine squared x is equal to 1 over 2 after doing negative 3 divided by negative 6. Okay, هلا نحن we're going in between 0 and pi. In between here and here. Okay, so that means you need to consider both positive and negative, right? Let me make sure, because I stopped trusting myself now. Okay. I don't know, for some reason they took this. Let's forget about the solution. Anyway, we reached here, right? Say cosine squared x is equal to half. So we need to solve for both, because we're in between 0 and pi. So we're taking both quadrant 1 and 2. So we need to consider both positive and negative solutions. Okay, so you're going to get cosine x is equal to half as 1 and cosine x is equal to minus half as the other. Okay, this will lead to x being in, I don't know, what's shift cosine half? In radians, shift cosine half. Pi over 3. Is it pi over 3? No, root 1 over 2, sorry. Negative. That means cosine x takes square root, huh? So negative root 1 over 2, sorry, square root. Yeah, no. Okay, pi over 4. So you're gonna get x as pi over 4 here. Okay, and remember, for cosine you always consider the negative solution. But since that one doesn't fit in the domain, we're not gonna consider it. How about cosine inverse of negative root? You're gonna get 3 pi over 4. Let's try doing 360 minus. Remember, for cosine, another solution is always 360 minus. In this case, it's 360 would be 2 pi. 2 pi minus pi over 4 would be 7 pi over 4, and that doesn't fit inside the domain. Okay, and then 2 pi minus 3 pi over 4 will be 5 over 4 pi, which again is too large for the domain. So your only two solutions are these two. Okay, 3 over 4 pi and pi over 4. The function f of x 4 minus 2 sine x is defined for the domain 0 to pi. Solve the equation f of x equals 3. Okay, 4 minus 2 sine x is equal to 3. Other side, okay, you're gonna get this. You're gonna get that sine x is equal to half. Okay, what's x equal to? Between 0 and 2 pi, huh? So, yani, you're free to do whatever you want. The first one will be pi over 6, by the way. When you do shift sine half, you're going to get pi over 6 on your calculator. For sine, what's the second solution? Always 180 minus. But since we're working with radians, I'm not going to say 180, I'm going to say pi. So pi minus pi over 6, which is 5 pi over 6. We got two solutions. These are your only two solutions, by the way. Why? Let's try doing plus 360k. I always told you, always try whatever you can, you know. Try doing plus 2 pi k. 1k is negative 1, takes it into the negatives. When k is 1, it's going to be too large for your domain, and same thing here. Okay, so you get two solutions, pi r 6 and 5 pi over 6. Sketch, yeah, let's sketch the graph. Well, I feel like I sketched this before. I think I remember it. Let's see. In between 0 and 2 pi, I will ignore negatives. Okay, 4 minus 2, I sketched this, I remember sketching this. 2 sine x, it's 2 minus 2, switched it up by 2, so it's gonna be here 2, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, يعني 6. عندك it starts here between 0 and 2 pi, you're gonna go here, use table mode on your calculator, huh? If you don't believe me. 1, 2, 3, 4 pi, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 pi over 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 pi. Okay, فit goes up هيك. oh no مش هيك. 2, 3, 4 هيك تنزل هون. Put it on table mode, huh? It looks like this. Okay, هيك. Let's take a look. Yes, man. Wallah, I feel like I graphed this before. I'm sure I know I graphed it. Oh, it's yeah, I just graphed it earlier. Okay, find the set of values for k for which the equation has no solution. Type. Huh? What k? For which the equation f of x equals k has no solution. Type. Okay. So they want to see 4 minus 2 sine x equals k. When does it have no solution? Type. When does sine not have any solution? You guys know sine x, it should be in between negative 1 and 1, right? Type. We need to see sine x in this case, what does it equal? Sine x with respect to k. It will be, take 4 to the other side, it's going to be k minus 4 divided by negative 2. So you're going to get that sine x is equal to, remember when you have negative, you just swap these two around. Okay, 4 minus k over 2. Type, and I need to see for which values does it not have any solution. Obviously, it's going to have no solution when it's less than negative 1 and when it's greater than 1. So let's solve first for when it's less than negative 1. Take 2 here. You're going to get 4 minus k less than minus 2. You're going to get this here. You're going to get minus k less than minus 6. Okay, and that means divide now by negative 1 on both sides. When you divide by negative, remember it changes the sign. It goes to the greater than now. So for all k greater than 6. So we considered negative 1. Let's consider 1 now, when it's greater than 1. So that means k minus 4, I'll write it in red now. So this is separated from this, okay? Let's consider it being greater than 1. K minus 4, sorry, this, I don't know why I'm using this one. This is the simplified version. 4 minus k over 2 greater than 1. Type, drop, you're going to get 4 minus k greater than 2. Other side, negative k greater than negative 2. Even negative, you're going to get k less than 2. So for these set of values, k less than 2 and k greater than 6. Okay, so k less than 2 or k greater than 6. Not and, or. State the largest value of a for which g has an inverse. We're working here with sine, right? What's the domain of sine inverse? Okay, it's pi over 2. Okay, what's crazy is that as I'm explaining, I'm learning new things when I'm supposed to be explaining. I'm learning new things as I'm explaining. So for the inverse, we're all familiar. Sine inverse, it's between minus pi over 2, pi over 2, right? The domain. Very simple. So someone here is going to tell me top A is going to be pi over 2. طب okay, no. Apparently, for a function to have an inverse, نحن when we restrict the domain of a function for inverse, it's only because to have an inverse, okay, to have an inverse, you only consider one phase, okay? What do I mean? Originally, when we got the, it should be somewhere here. When we got, I explained it somewhere next here, okay? Sine inverse, okay? Where'd this come from? I know when I restricted the domain to minus pi over 2 to pi over 2, don't you realize that throughout this whole period, it's increasing? If I continue it here, we can't anymore because it started decreasing and it's gonna fail the horizontal line test. If you remember from grade 9, for a function to have an inverse, it must pass, or grade 10, it must pass the horizontal line test, okay? So for that reason, in all these questions, you don't need to know the rule to know what the inverse is, okay? You don't need to know the rule. صادفت انه it was a coincidence in the previous one here, it worked. They said from 0 till A, okay? What do you do when you see this question in the exam? Don't use the rule pi over 2 minus pi, whatever. No, you look at 0. Starting at 0, it's increasing. So you see, until when does it increase? 90. Here it was a coincidence that it was pi over 2. But here, they're saying from pi over 2. So from pi over 2, continue. What happens? It starts decreasing. So, okay, continue until it stops decreasing. When does it stop? Over here, at 3 pi over 2. If you continue after 3 pi over 2, no more inverse. They're saying the largest value. So what's the largest value from when it decreases? 3 pi over 2. Okay? So whenever you see a question like this in your exam, what do? You continue it. You see if it's increasing, what's the furthest point until which it increases. If it's decreasing, you see what's the furthest point until which it decreases. I'm sure we're going to see more of these questions, yani. So the largest value in this case, that's why they tell you to graph. Use the graph 3 pi over 2. Okay? So it's going to be 3 pi over 2. Okay, for this value, find the value of G inverse 3. Type, here, they're asking you to find G inverse 3. Do we know aslan what G inverse is? No, it's not just sine inverse 3. No, you're not that, right? First, let's find what is G inverse. We did it earlier. How do you find G inverse? You interchange y and x. So it's going to be 4 minus 2 sine y is equal to x. Let's solve this. 4 to the other side. Minus 2 sine y is equal to x minus 4. Divide by minus 2. You're going to get sine y is equal to 4 minus x over 2. Y over 2. I divide by minus 2. When you divide by minus, you flip these. Okay? Take take sine inverse to the other side. This is what G inverse looks like. Okay? So we want to do G inverse of 3. So plug in x as 3. So 4 minus 3 over 2 sine inverse. Okay? Sine inverse of this, shift sine in degrees, are working degrees or not radian range? 4 minus 3 over 2 is just half, by the way. Okay? You get pi over 6. Okay, so you get pi over 6. And someone's gonna come and tell me, why don't you, what's the other solution? Pi over 6. So you're gonna get, I don't know, x is equal to pi over 6, right? The other solution is always pi minus pi over 6. And you're gonna get 5 pi over 6. He's gonna submit this paper. He's gonna receive it. He's gonna see, oh, he lost a mark. Why? We're working with the function sine inverse. Remember, sine inverse, its range is from -1 and 1. Okay? When you do 5 pi over 6, pi over 6 عادي. it's this. But when you do 5 pi over 6, lick, bam, you're outside of the range now. Okay, فممنوع. The 5 pi over 6 will be rejected. So your only solution now will be pi over 6. Guys, I'm about to tear up, wallah. It's 2 a.m. I'm on top 35. Every time I explain something, I go to check the solution and see that I'm completely wrong. Okay. Ya Allah. Okay. Okay, you get these two solutions, right? Type. You get these two solutions. We said pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. I have to remember that أنا, what domain did I consider for sine x? For the inverse, I considered pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. And remember, this is the domain of what? Is this the domain of the inverse? No. We're considering the domain of the sine function that we're going to consider. Okay, so this, let me erase this. We took the domain now of sine, we took it as pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. So what does that mean for the range of sine inverse? Doesn't the range of sine inverse take the domain of sine? Yes. So it's going to be pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. So that means, hello, when I get these two, which one fits in this range? This one. Okay? Basically, the graph helps out a lot. Okay? Really, it helps out a lot. I'm going to revise why now. Look, when you get your graph, I'm going to work with mine. Okay? Here. When you get your graph and they ask you which one you want to find the inverse, what's the largest value for which it has an inverse from this point, you check from your graph, from this point, when does it stop decreasing? In this case, it's decreasing, 3 pi over 2. Okay? Then here you solve normally, you get your two solutions. Okay? You need to see which one is allowed in my range. طب do you know what your range is أصلا? No. طب how do you find the range of sine inverse? And I taught it in 8.3. I taught you why we got the range and domain of the normal one. بس يلعبوا فيها. They're playing around with it, right? Usually the domain is minus pi over 2 pi over 2 and the range is minus 1 1. But here the domain is minus 1 1 and the range is minus pi over 2 pi over 2. But here it's different. Why is it different? Because they're considering a different interval. That's completely fine. You need to learn how to work with this. Okay? And I taught you for an inverse function, the range of the inverse takes the domain of the actual function. Okay? I did this all in 8.3 when I explained over here. Okay? When I explained how I got these. Okay? I did it in 8.3. Okay? For here, since they're considering a different point, what's your range? What's your range gonna be? What place are we considering? We're considering this. But I want to find the range of the inverse of it. Do I know the domain? Of course I do. The domain is from pi over 2 till 3 pi over 2. Right? So what does that mean the range is? The range is of the inverse, of sine inverse. It's going to be pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. I can't say anything else other than this. Wallah, I'm trying my best. So since you know now that the range is pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, which one's going to fit? This one. Okay? So everything really, with the graph, everything becomes way easier. Okay, once you get your two solutions, just ask yourself, what's my range? How do you know what the range is? The range of the inverse is just basically look at what domain am I taking for this. The range will be this, what you found in the previous part. Okay, that your range of the inverse will be what you found in the previous part, always. The top questions come copy paste. Okay, same style. Just do it like this. Okay. Question 36, and now we still have 6 questions. Solve this. 10 sine squared x equals 7 plus cosine x between 0 and 180. Sine squared, we can change it to 1 minus cosine squared, right? Using the Pythagorean identity, cosine squared plus sine squared equals 1. So 10, 1 minus cosine squared x equal to 7 plus cosine x. Okay, so you're gonna get 10 minus 10 cosine squared x is equal to 7 plus cosine x. Let's solve this. Take everything to the right because I want cosine squared to be positive. I don't like working when the quadratic is negative. So you're gonna get cosine squared x, 10 cosine squared x plus cosine x, and then 7 minus 10 will be minus 3 equals 0. How do you solve this? It's a quadratic. You're gonna get 10 cosine x, factor it, or use formula or calculate, I don't care, but you're gonna get 10 cosine x and 5, 10 cosine x and 6 equals 0. Why? Because multiply the 10 and the 3, you get 30. Which two numbers multiply to get 30 but subtract to get 1? Obviously 5 and 6. Okay, the bigger one goes to the bigger number, and then put the minus here. You can divide by 5, so you're gonna get 2 cosine x minus 1, divide by 2, you get 5 cosine x plus 3 equals 0. So you're gonna get cosine x is equal to half, and cosine x is equal to negative 3 over 5. We're working between 0 and 180. Let's find our solutions. Here you're gonna get, if you do shift cosine half, you're gonna get in degrees, you're gonna get 60 degrees. Remember, for cosine, you always take the negative, but the negative won't be in the domain. And you do 360 minus 60 is 300, which isn't in the domain. So let's skip it. If you do shift cosine minus 3 over 5, let me do it actually. Shift cosine minus 3 over 5, you get in degrees, you get 127, say 127. So x is 127 degrees. Make it negative outside of the domain. Do 360 minus, come in outside the domain. Okay, so these are your only two solutions, 60 and 127. 0.9 ينحل عني. Okay, show that the equation 3 sine x tan x plus 8 equals 0 can be expressed as 3 cosine squared x minus 8 cosine x minus 3 equals 0. So this is actually pretty nice. I like this one. Remember, whenever you want to go from tan to cosine or whatever, you need to express this tan as sine over cosine. Okay, always. Okay, so I'm gonna write this like this: 3 sine x sine over cosine x, sine x over cosine x. Right, because tan is sine over cosine plus 8 equals 0. Okay, sine times sine is cosine squared. Sine times sine is sine squared. So sine squared x over cosine x plus 8 equals 0. Type, okay, here is sine squared, and I want it all in terms of cosine. So can I change this into cosine squared? Yes, of course. We know sine squared is 1 minus cosine squared x, right, over cosine x plus 8 is equal to 0. طيب, I need to somehow get this 8 a cosine x. I need to somehow get rid of this denominator cosine x. What can I do? Can't I multiply both sides of the equation by cosine x? You know you're allowed to do this in math, right? You can multiply by 2 on both sides. You can divide by 3 on both sides. As long as what you're doing on the left is being done on the right, that's completely fine. Yes, you can. Okay? Cosine x cancels with cosine x. Then cosine x times 8 is 8 cosine x. So you're going to get 3, 1 minus cosine squared x plus 8 times cosine x is equal to 0 times cosine. It's just 0. Okay, let's distribute. You get this. They want it to look like this. They want it to be positive. So if we move everything to the other side, it's going to look like this. So you're going to get 3 cosine squared x minus 8 cosine x minus 3 equals 0. Then they solve it. They say solve it. Yes, of course, solve it. Let's solve it. How do you solve this? By factoring. 3 times 3 is 9. Which two numbers multiply to get 9? But can you do this on your calculator? You can't, no? You can't solve it by factoring. I think you need to use the quadratic formula. I'm going to use quadratic formula because most calculators with non-integral don't have the equation mode. B squared minus 4ac. So it's going to be 8 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 3. Okay, so you're going to get 8 squared minus 4 times 3 times minus 3. you're gonna get this square root. Oh, but it can be factored, maybe, I don't know. Okay, so you get delta is equal to 10. Okay, so do the quadratic formula, minus b plus minus radical b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So it's gonna be minus b, which is minus 8, plus minus 10 over 2 times 3. So you're gonna get the first solution is 18 over, you're gonna get 3 as your first solution, and you're gonna get um, minus 2, or you're gonna get, the other solution is negative 1 over 3, so 8 minus, let me do this, 8 minus 10 divided by 6. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that means we get two solutions. Cosine x is equal to 3, cosine x is equal to minus 1 over 3. غلط. First one rejected. Why, Walid? Why is it rejected? It's rejected because remember, cosine x has to be in between minus 1 and 1. Come on. So we're left with this. Let's solve it. Shift cosine minus 1 over 3. You get 109.5 degrees. What's our domain? 0 and 360. So if you make it negative, obviously it's going to be outside the domain. Let's do 360 minus. You get 250.5. Okay, so 250.5 degrees as well. Let's see. Where am I? Where am I? Where? Here. There you go. Question 38. يلا عم بيخلصوا شوي شوي والله. Show that the equation 2 tan squared theta sine squared theta is equal to 1 can be written in the form of this. Okay, again, whenever you want to go from tan to sine, always, I tell you, express this as sine squared over cosine squared. Okay, so you can get 2 sine squared over cosine squared. I'm gonna not write theta because I don't want to. In the exam, please write theta. I'm just not in the mood to waste time. Anyway, هيدي بتصير 2 sine power 4. You know, I'll write the theta over cosine squared theta is equal to 1. طيب, we have a small problem. We need to get rid of this cosine squared theta because we have this equal 1 on the side. Okay, let's take this one here. You're gonna get this, right? Okay, طيب, can I get rid of this cosine squared theta? Maybe, but I still need this sine squared theta. I know cosine squared is 1 minus sine squared. طب, can I somehow put sine squared, this 1 minus sine squared up there? I'm gonna have to put cosine squared up there. طب, how do I simplify these two? Can't I make this common denominator and then subtract the fractions? Yes, I can. If I multiply by cosine squared up and down, I'm gonna get minus cosine squared theta over cosine squared theta. Right over here, cosine squared theta is equal to 0. Type, okay, isn't this just this? Minus cosine squared theta over cosine squared theta equals 0. Yes. So isn't this 1 minus sine squared? Yes, it is. Minus 1 minus sine squared theta over cosine squared theta equals 0. Type, let's continue a bit. 2 sine power 4 theta minus 1 plus sine squared theta over cosine squared theta is equal to 0. Cross multiply if you want, and you're gonna get 2 sine power 4 theta plus sine squared theta minus 1 is equal to 0. Take this there, and, or no, you have this. No need to take it there. That's it. Solve this equation now. How do you solve this? You can solve this like this. Whenever I have power 4 and then power 2, just solve it normally, عادي. Multiply 2 by minus 1, you get 2. Which numbers multiply to get 2 but subtract to get 1? 2 and 1, obviously. Okay, so you're going to get 2 sine squared theta and 2. Then 2 sine squared theta and 1. And the plus goes to the bigger number. The minus goes here. Divide by 2, divide by 2. You're going to get sine squared theta plus 1 and then your sine squared 2 sine, this stays 2 sine squared theta minus 1 equals 0. You're gonna get two solutions. You're gonna get sine squared theta is equal to negative 1, and sine squared theta is equal to half. This should be rejected. Okay, can any number, because when you square root, can you get square root negative 1? Obviously not. Okay, so this is what we're going to work with. Sine squared theta is equal to half. Okay, we're solving in between 0 and 360 degrees. So we're going to take both positive and negative roots. Okay, so we're going to solve the first one for sine theta equals positive square root 1 over 2, and the second one for negative square root 1 over 2. Okay, here we're going to get what solutions? Let's see. Shift sine root half, you get 45. Okay, always for sine you do 180 minus, so 135 is also correct. How about negative? Sorry, negative outside, huh? Why did I put it inside? Negative 45, but that's not in the domain, right? That's not in the domain, but let's just write it. We do then 180 minus for sine, get 225. Type, you got all of your four solutions. Can we do plus 360 on any of them? This one will give me outside, too big, but here it will work. If I do plus 360, it will still stay within the domain. So 360 plus negative 45, you get 315. Right, let's cancel. So these are my four solutions. Let's take a look. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go through the rest a bit quicker, as fast as I can, because I really want to go sleep. Given that x is sine inverse 4 over 7, find the exact value of cosine squared and tan squared. Okay. أول شيء you need to know sine inverse. What's the domain? What's the range? The domain is minus 1 and 1, and the range is minus pi over 2, pi over 2, right? What does that mean? That means what quadrant am I in here for x? What quadrant am I in? I'm in between minus pi over 2, which is here, and pi over 2. So I'm between here and here. Someone might ask, why don't you go left? طب look, in between them you have 0, right? You have 0. You have مثلا minus pi over 4, which is over here. And then you have pi over 4, which is over here. So if you try values, you're gonna be going to the right. Okay? So that means which quadrants am I considering, Kalla? These two here. Okay? This is always the first step you do when dealing with a question here. Hello, what do? You solve it normally. Sine x is equal to 4 over 7. Just take the sign to the left. Okay, can I find cosine squared? Cosine squared is equal to 1 minus sine squared. Okay, just do this. It's 1 minus sine squared, which is 4 over 7 squared. You get 33 over 49. Type tan squared, you can just do sine over cosine. Sine squared over cosine squared. Why am I? Yeah, tan squared is just gonna be sine squared over cosine squared, right? So it's gonna be 4 over 7 brackets 4 over 7 squared over cosine squared, which is 33 over 49 squared. You get 784 over 1089. I have a huge feeling this is wrong, but let's take a look. Okay, sine squared over cosine squared. Why did I square the cosine? It's already, and I found cosine squared. Why did I square the square? Let me remove the square. Yeah, 16 over 33. Type. Two more questions, yellow. Given that 3 sine squared x minus 17 cosine x minus 13 equals 0, show that for real values of x, cosine x is minus 2 over 3. So obviously it's a quadratic. We want to solve it in terms of cosine, we gotta change this sign into 1 minus cosine squared, right? Type, let's see. So it's gonna be 3, 1 minus cosine squared x minus 17 cosine x minus 13 equals 0. يلا fix it up and distribute 3 minus 3 cosine squared x minus 17 cosine x minus 13 equals 0. Fix it up, everything to the right. I'm gonna get 3 cosine squared x plus 17 cosine x 3 minus 3 plus 10 is equal to 0. Factor 3 times 10, 30, which numbers multiply to get 30, but when you add them you get 17, 15 and 2. So you're gonna get 3 cosine and 15 and 3 cosine and 2. So it's gonna be plus plus, obviously. Divide by 3, you're gonna get cosine x. So you're gonna get cosine x plus, divide by 3, هيك. This is gonna say 3 cosine x plus 2. So you get two solutions. You're gonna get cosine x is equal 0. All of this equals 0. Equals minus 5, and you're gonna get cosine x is equal to minus 2 over 3. This is rejected because remember cosine x must be within minus 1 and 1. How about this? They're saying show that this is correct, and we showed it, and then solve it. What? Stop. What's this, akhi? Okay, and I don't know why I'm complicating this. Basically what they did here is they just substituted this x with theta plus 17. So now we said cosine x is equal minus 2 over 3. So instead of x now, they changed with theta plus 70. So you just make it theta plus 70, cosine theta plus 70 is equal to minus 2 over 3. And you solve, easy as. Okay? So we're gonna get theta plus 70 is equal to shift cosine minus 2 over 3, which is, let's do it, minus 2 over 3, 131.8. Our domain is between 0 and 180. So if you take negative, it won't work. And if you do 360 minus, it also won't work. I think if you do, let's try if you do 360 minus. Always try it just in case. 60 minus 131.8. Are you shining just for me? Okay, so you got this. Now subtract by 70. City of stars. Okay, subtract by 70, you get this 61.8. And then here subtract by 70. Yeah, see, it fits in the domain. I wasn't gonna try it. That is equal to 158.2. Yeah, it fits. So you get two solutions. 61.8, 158.2. There you go. Okay, last question. No, two more questions. Proof كمان. Okay, it's okay. I'm here. خلاص. Show the equation 5 times square equals whatever can be written in the form of this. Okay, same as the one before. You want to change this tan in a way to have cosine. So write it in the form sine over cosine, right? So it's gonna be 5 sine squared over cosine. Wait. Yeah, it's correct. 5 sine squared over cosine squared times cosine is equal to 24. You can cancel these. You're gonna get 5 sine squared is what? We want to make it cosine. So 1 minus cosine squared over cosine is equal to 24. Type, take this here. You know what? Do we divide by 5? No, I don't know why I'm tweaking. I have over cosine theta on both sides. But here, there's no over. But the 24 somehow has a cosine. So basically, to get rid of this fraction, what do I do, guys? I just multiply by cosine theta on both sides. Right? So this cancels. So you're going to get 5. Expand this. Let's not waste time. 5 times 1, 5. Minus 5 cosine squared theta equals 24 cosine theta. They wanted, I guess, to move to the right because it's negative here. Let's move it to the right. So you're going to get 5 cosine squared theta plus 24 cosine theta minus 5 is equal to 0. This is correct. Okay, solve this equation. Okay, so basically let's solve this. We need to factor 5 times 5, 25. Which terms multiply to get 25, but subtract to get 24. 25 and 1, obviously. So 5 cosine theta and 25. Sorry, and 25. 5 cosine theta and 1. it's minus, plus goes to the bigger one, minus, divide now here, 5 and 5, you're gonna get cosine theta plus 5 cosine theta minus 1 equals 0. You're gonna get cosine theta is equal to minus 5, which is rejected. I told you why, because that's being between minus 1 and 1. And then here cosine theta is equal to 1 over 5. Solve solutions, yalla. Shift cosine 1 over 5. You get 78.5. The negative won't work, right? So let's just write it down. Negative 78.5. Let's do 360 minus. You get 281.5. Let's do plus 360 here. It should be the same thing actually. Yeah, 281.5. Okay, so we get only two solutions that fits the domain. 78.5 to 81.5. Okay, last question. Yalla, bismillah. Well, how funny this would have been if I forgot to press record, huh? Yeah, probably hang myself, wallah. Prove the identity. This is equal to this. Okay, so we need to somehow get cosine up here. Okay, I read the solution because honestly it's 2:30. I want to go sleep. Okay, but I understood it. Okay, 1 over tan theta is this. Okay, 1 over tan theta is just cosine theta over sine theta. صح? Right? Okay, squared. Okay, because tan theta is sine over cosine. 1 over sine over cosine is cosine over sine. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Okay, we're trying to get this. Type, can't you add these? They have the same denominator. So it becomes 1 minus cosine theta squared over sine theta squared. So what's sine theta squared? Isn't it 1 minus cosine theta squared? Isn't sine theta squared 1 minus cosine squared theta? Right? Sine squared theta. This is the same as sine squared theta, right? Okay. Isn't it 1 minus cosine squared theta? Yes. Someone's going to cancel these two. I'm going to spit in his face. Why? Because this is 1 minus cosine theta all squared. If you were to expand this, you'd use a minus b squared. Okay? Type. Someone's going to come tell me, okay, wait, what do I do here? Behind موقف. Type. Here's what you do. This is, we need to somehow get rid of the squares. Can you factor any of this? You can factor this. Why? Because this is actually a squared minus b squared. So you can rewrite this as a minus b, a plus b. If we're going to make it 1 minus cosine theta squared over 1 minus cosine theta, 1 plus cosine theta. Look at that. We can cancel this with one of these. You're going to get 1 minus cosine theta over 1 plus cosine theta. This is a theta. Huh? Okay, so solve this is equal to 5 over 7 for 0, 360. Okay, if you cross multiply, you're going to get 1 plus cosine theta times 5. So 5 plus 5 cosine theta. I'm just expanding, cross multiplication. Okay, and then 1 minus cosine theta times 7 is equal to 7 minus 7 cosine theta. Solve this. This there, or no, other way around. This there. You're going to get 12 cosine theta is equal to, you're going to get cosine theta is equal to 1 over 6. In degrees, shift cosine. Oh my god, I'm almost done. 1 divided by 6, 80.4. So you get theta is 80.4 degrees. Take the negative value. It won't work, but let's just take it. Okay, and then we'll reject it later. Okay, please don't forget to reject it, huh? Okay, now let's see. Let's do the 360 minus, and then 360 minus 80.4. You get 279.6. Okay, so you got these two. Okay, these two are correct, but the last one is wrong because it's not. If you do plus 360, you're gonna end up with 279.6. Okay, are they correct? Yes. Thank you so much for watching. I'm about to go enter a coma.